Well, President Obama has a plan to overhaul the nation's health care system, and it's hitting some serious funding snags. You may not have heard about this. Health care has been really big on the president's agenda this week. Just this morning, he met with business heads and state officials to talk about medical costs, innovations, and yesterday, he announced a promise from health care leaders to keep their prices under control. In fact, they say they're going to cut up to $2 trillion in costs over the next 10 years. But when it comes to paying for this bigger plan, President Obama is having trouble finding the money. Here's how the president originally planned to raise the $635 billion he says he needs for the overhaul. Roughly half would come from savings in the Medicare program, the other half from limits on tax deductions taken by the richest Americans. But the recession has taken a $51 billion chunk out of that tax portion of the pie. Now the president is considering changes to inheritance and other taxes to make up the difference. We're told that money would come from the richest 0.3% of all Americans, but the president may not get much support for that either. Uri Man is a business and financial analyst, and he's live with us today. Uri, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You know, the biggest concern here seems to be, I mean, think about it. If you donate $1 to charity, you get 35 cents back in federal tax deductions. But under this plan, you'd only get 28 cents back. And that has a lot of people concerned that charitable organizations, faith-based organizations and otherwise that do such great work for people who really need help will have less money.
Yeah, well, you know, if you look at it from a mathematical standpoint, you're 25% more likely to donate money under the current plan than under the new plan. You know, but, you know, having said that, people still have a warm and fuzzy feeling from donating to charity. Sure. So there's not a direct one-to-one correlation.
And then there's this issue of the death tax or inheritance benefits. A lot of money would now be taxed to make up this difference when you bequeath things to those who are left behind. That's something that at least one side of this equation has been up in arms about for years.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people's concern, you know, if you're a sole proprietor and you're giving your business to your kids, you have to be concerned, you know, that, you know, what are they going to do to pay for the taxes in terms of the value of the business that you give them. So, you know, that's a legitimate concern because you have great businesses that might be passed down from one person to the other, but have to be sold even though they're legitimate operating businesses because they don't have the money to pay for the taxes for the inheritance tax.
Yeah, it's all about the cash. You pass the business down, but if you don't have the cash on hand, you might lose the business. And I guess one of the things that we've noticed over time when looking at taxes is that businesses that are passed down within families that are very successful end up providing a lot of tax money for the bigger system.
Absolutely. The tax dollars generated from businesses, you know, generally secondhand businesses that are passed on from one generation to another, you know, the first time they're passed down, they become much more significant businesses in the hands of the second part of the family.
A lot to look at as the president tries to get, you know, health insurance for everybody. It's where the money's coming from is a mighty difficult thing to wrap your arms around. Uri Man, good to see you. Thank you. And you probably know most of the names on this next list. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.